Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Cave of Collectibles. Today, I'm going to share my quick review on The Mandalorian Chapter 7, The Reckoning. Now, like always, if you haven't seen it, go away, watch it, because there will be spoilers in this episode, so continue watching at your own peril, because there's a few big spoilers, there's a few big things that happen in this episode, which I will briefly touch on here today, so just a fair warning to everyone out there. Now, before we begin, I saw Rise of Skywalker a couple of days ago, and personally, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was a great conclusion to this new sequel trilogy. I really enjoyed it. But then again, I loved all of these new Star Wars movies. I loved the characters. I thought they were great. And I think this one ends the story really well and ties the whole thing together. But I'm not going to go into any more detail because I'm aware that a lot of people haven't seen it yet. And I don't want to spoil that one for you all. So, Chapter 7 of The Mandalorian. That was a great episode. It was awesome that it came out before Rise of Skywalker, but it just means that we have a bit of extra time to wait to the final episode. It's the penultimate episode of the first season, because there are only 8 episodes in the season, which I actually really enjoy. I've mentioned it before, but I think that The Mandalorian, the whole Star Wars TV show universe, and just TV shows in general, a lot of these action, drama, adventure ones work a lot better with shorter seasons, because with like The Mandalorian, you can just pack so much into each episode and you don't particularly need any filler. Now, this episode brings back many characters that we have seen throughout the series. We get to see the return of Cara Dune. We get to see the return of the Ugnaught Quill. I finally found out how to pronounce his name, so I'm so happy about that. It's one less name I have to worry about mispronouncing in the Star Wars universe. And we also get to see the return of IG-11, which Quill himself has actually repaired. He found him after the firefight in episode 1, repaired him, built him up again, taught him everything. It's actually quite a hilarious scene where you see Quill teach IG-11 how to move and walk and do simple tasks again. But he also removed the killer nature and the programming which IG-11 had in him. But if you've seen the episode, the Mando still doesn't trust the droid. And to be honest with you, neither do I. My theory is, in episode 8, we are either going to see IG-11 come and help them, or we're either going to see him turn on them. Because after they go on the ship, after the Mando rounds up the crew, we don't really see much more of IG-11 in this episode. This episode did a really good job at bringing the whole series together, because with the return of Quill, who we saw in episodes 1 and 2, the return of Cara Dune, which I think we saw in episode 4, if my memory serves me correctly, it sort of brings the whole series together and makes it feel as though nothing that the Mando has actually done in these previous episodes has been wasted, but it all ties together and there is an overarching story throughout this season of The Mandalorian. We also see the return of Greef Karga in this episode. We see him offer the Mandalorian a chance at clemency. If he comes back and helps him take out the client who's overtaken the port with a whole bunch of stormtroopers and has really clamped down, the guild will forgive the Mandalorian his debt and let him go free. But as we've seen in the whole series so far, there's double crosses galore. Originally, Greef Karga plans on killing the Mandalorian for the client when he returns home. But that's not quite how it works out. The Mandalorian goes, he rounds up the crew, he gets Cara Dune, he gets Quill, he gets IG-11 that we've seen in the previous episodes. And at last, we get to see them come together and work together as a team, which I'm so excited about. So, what happens is that Greef Karga plans on betraying the Mandalorian, but they're attacked by these flying creatures at the camp in the Outlands one night. Greef Karga gets injured, and Baby Yoda actually heals him up, which completely changes what he plans to do. So they send Quill and Baby Yoda back to the ship because the Mandalorian doesn't want to bring him into the ambush, but they take the little pod that Baby Yoda is in, and they send Quill back holding the baby. they're about to be betrayed by the other bounty hunters that Greef Karga has with them, but he quickly turns around and shoots them all. So the Mandalorian double crosses the people. Greef Karga double crosses the other bounty hunters that he planned to double cross the Mandalorian with. It's a bit complicated, so he's double crossing the client as well in all of this, because the client wants the Mandalorian dead and he wants Baby Yoda back. And there's another double cross we actually see in this episode as well, one which was a bit of a surprise. It isn't the Mandalorian and it isn't Greef Karga that's double crossed. It's none of the bounty hunters. It's the client. He's double crossed by Moff Gideon. We finally get to see him come into this show. We've seen him in some trailers. We've seen plenty of imagery in him, but the place where the Mando, Greef Karga and Cara Dune are meeting up with the client is shot up by Death Troopers. Pretty much everyone is killed apart from obviously our three heroes or three main protagonists. They're not necessarily heroes. And yeah, the client shoots them all up. The client gets shot up by Moff Gideon, his Death Troopers, and a whole bunch of Stormtroopers. Now, what's really interesting is that up until this point, we know the story takes place after the fall of the Empire. And if you've read the books, if you've read some of the comics, you know there are different remnants of the Empire out there which are still operating and still trying to function in some capacity. But some of them are falling apart. Some of them are having greater degrees of success than others. We've only seen the client and his Stormtroopers there in dirty, mucky armour. And they just not necessarily don't seem to care. They just don't have the same attitude. They don't have the pristine, white, clean armour that we've been used to in the first trilogy of Star Wars movies, episodes 4, 5, and 6. But when Moff Gideon comes, and his Stormtroopers and his Death Troopers come, they're in immaculate armour. They're clean, they're disciplined. They are all exactly how you would expect an elite fighting force to be, as elite as Stormtroopers could actually be anyway. But they're all clean, and it made me think, who is Moff Gideon? How much power does he actually have? How big is the remnant of the Empire that he controls or is part of, actually? Because there's a lot of Stormtroopers there, and there's that Moff Gideon himself arrives in a TIE fighter, so it'll be interesting to see how all of this plays out in Episode 8, because Episode 7, Chapter 7, was left on a major cliffhanger. The cantina, the meeting room where they met with the client, is surrounded by mobs of Stormtroopers and Death Troopers as well. So seeing how will get out of this is going to be great. I wouldn't be surprised if Cara Dune or Greef Karga dies, but the Mandalorian's obviously not going to die because the show's already been renewed for Season 2. So it's a bit unfortunate that we actually know what happens with the Mandalorian himself anyway. Now, there's a few tragic moments in this, so these are big spoilers. Quill, on his way to the ship, the Mandalorian is contacting him via his comlink, and a few Stormtroopers overhear this, so they start chasing Quill down on their speeders, and unfortunately they catch Quill before he gets back to the ship, and Quill's shot, and we just see his body there at the end of the movie, and we see these two Stormtroopers come, sweep up Baby Yoda, and drive back to Moff Gideon. So it is really leaving this episode on a massive cliffhanger. But boy, what an episode it was. I was glued to my TV for every second of it. We get to learn a little bit more about Cara Dune's past, and that she's done some stuff since leaving the rebellion that she's not particularly proud of, and she can't really go into New Republic airspace. But what this stuff is, I don't know if we'll find out. I don't know if it's meant to be a bit ambiguous, but it's good to learn a bit more about her as a character, and it was really sad to see Quill die in this episode. But like I said before, it was great seeing the whole crew come together, and I'm really looking forward to Friday, which is only a couple of days away now. I'm counting down the sleeps to Chapter 8 of The Mandalorian, more than I'm counting down the sleeps to Christmas at the moment, I reckon. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Merry Christmas to you all, because this will probably be my last video before Christmas Day. I hope you all have a great day, you all get rested up you all get spoiled, get your great nerdy and geeky gifts that you want, your statues, your comics, whatever you're into. I wish you all a great, great day, and I wish you all a Merry Christmas. If you haven't, please like and subscribe to my channel. I'll be back after Christmas. I've got a lot of stuff planned, so I'm not sure how we'll go about it, but whether I do 3 videos a week or The Mandalorian, it's almost over, so it will be a bit easier to create other content. I know I've got some unboxings coming up. I know some stuff which I'm getting for Christmas, so I'll film a video or 2 with that. I'm not going to spoil it just yet, but it's pretty awesome. And then I've got some other ideas as well. If you guys, like I said, if you enjoy this, please like and subscribe. If there's anything which you want to see on this channel, anything Star Wars related, comic related, let me know, because I've got so much planned. But if you want me to focus on a certain thing, just let me know, like I said. Anyway, guys, once again, have a great Christmas, and I'll see you all in the next video.